All right. We want to thank everybody for joining us this morning for our ICSC 2022 Las Vegas Navigating the Big Show webinar. A lot of changes coming to ICSC 2022 Las Vegas. Not only do we have a name change, so it's no longer ICSC Recon. We haven't had an ICSC Vegas conference in May for the last 2 years. So I want to talk to you today about what to expect from that standpoint. But as we get started here, just a couple of really housekeeping items. I wanted to let everyone know that we're going to be actually recording this webinar. So we'll send a link out to everyone after the after the webinar, letting you know how to access the recording in case maybe you have some council members or other staff that weren't able to join us today that are going to be doing that. We'll get a copy of that out to you later today. And then also, if you have any questions as we go, there's a Q&A box. It should be on your screen there. I think down in the bottom, you'll see on your screen, there's a Q&A box and then also a chat box. So if you'll just type into that Q&A box, we can see that on our end. And we'll try to get to as many questions as possible for the end. But I don't see this webinar taking maybe 30 minutes or so. So I know everybody's time is valuable there, but we'll jump into this. So again, if you have questions as we go, let me know. But we'll jump into this. For those of you that are new to our webinar series or new to our firm, new to watching these, my name's Aaron Farmer. I'm the president of the Retail Coach. Been with the Retail Coach now for going on 15 years. Excited to be talking about ICSC Vegas again. It's been 2 years, as I mentioned, since we've been able to do this because of COVID, and excited to see this happening again. Excited to see what's going to come out of this conference. We've had some new attendees sign up for the conference that have never been to the conference before. So I think it's going to be exciting to have some good conversations at the conference and be able to look at that. So this will be, I guess, my 13th or 14th year to attend Recon. I keep calling it Recon. That's what it's been called for years, but I guess it's ICSC Vegas now. So this will be my 14th or so year to attend ICSC Vegas. I know some of you that are on here, this is going to be your first time. So for those of you that have been to the conference before, bear with me in the beginning as we just talk about some of the easy kind of membership registration fees things, and then we'll talk about some of those changes that are coming. But if you've not signed up for the conference yet for ICSC Vegas, it's not too late to sign up for the advance rate. So the advance rate it ends this week, so April 22nd. So ends in about 3 days. If you're a member of ICSC, the registration fee is $795. If you're a non-member, the registration fee is $1,800. So I would absolutely recommend, if you are not an ICSC member, I would recommend you become one soon, as quickly as possible, so you can take advantage of the registration fees at a discounted rate. If you don't get your registration in by April 22nd, you can still register for the standard rate, which is May 20th. And that's $975 for members. And then there is on-site registration, but I would caution you to that as the price for that jumps up to $1,300. Also this year, new to the conference, or not new to the conference, but if you've been to any of the recent ICSC conferences, you were required to show vaccination proof and or a test within 72 hours or 48 hours. They have done away with that now. So masks are not required for ICSC Vegas, and vaccination status is not required for ICSC Vegas. So for at least the foreseeable future, no mask and no vaccinations at ICSC events. They have changed it up a little bit this year. For the last few years, we've had the conference really on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and a couple of times we've had it on Wednesday. This year, the conference is Sunday through Tuesday. So a little bit of a change of schedule there. On Sunday, that is when you can register or you can pick up your badge this Sunday. So that's from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. I think they'll likely also probably mail out your badge ahead of time through regular mail as well. But the registration on Sunday is from 8 to 8. And then there are a few classes, informational sessions, the opening keynote. We'll look at that on the next slide here. But on Monday, that's when deal making starts, and that's from 9 to 5. And deal making is when the actual exhibit halls open. So we'll talk a little bit about what those exhibit halls look like, but this is when you're going to be out there kind of pounding the pavement, getting in front of retailers, getting in front of restaurants, brokers, developers, whoever it might be. That's from 9 to 5 on Monday. And then on Tuesday, it's from 9 to 3. So we'll talk more about that as we go forward here. So on Sunday, deal making is not taking place. However, there are a few things that are taking place that might be of interest to you. So a couple of things I'll point out here. The opening keynote speaker or the keynote speaker, the opening session is from 4:45 to 6. And that's at the Wynn Hotel. So the rest of the conference will be will actually be at the Las Vegas Convention Center. But Sunday, this is taking place at the Wynn. So May 22, Sunday at the Wynn, you're going to see the opening keynote. That'll be from 4:45 to 6. So you definitely want to be there for the keynote speaker if possible. And then they're going to have that opening reception from 6 to 8. I highly recommend attending the opening receptions. I've done it for the last 14 years or so, and you never know who you're going to run into at the convention. Maybe a longtime friend, longtime colleague, or maybe you just make a contact with a retailer that's looking to expand into your state or looking at your area though. So if you get a chance, go to that opening reception from 6 to 8. But that's what we're looking at Sunday. Like I talked about, no exhibit hall or no deal making on Sunday. That'll start on Monday. So badge pickup is on Monday from 7 to 5. That'll take place at the convention center there, the Las Vegas Convention Center. And then the exhibit hall or deal making starts from 9 to 5. And then there will be some programming, some classes, if you will, some continuing education things happening from 10 to 4. So you might want to take a look at the 10 to 4 schedule and see what that looks like. And then there's a few other things happening at the Wynn. Most of those, the diversity reception, global awards, ICSC Foundation student reception, those are all happening at the Wynn. So for most of us, we're going to spend, most of us on this call will probably spend most of our time at the convention center, the Las Vegas Convention Center on Monday, and then also on Tuesday. So just a little bit of change for Tuesday is the exhibit hall is only open from 9 to 3. So deal making will take place from 9 to 3, 9 to 5 on Monday, 9 to 3 on Tuesday. And then they'll have a little bit of programming from 10 to noon on Tuesday. So I've talked to a few of you that have said you're planning on being there Monday and then going home on Tuesday. I would almost recommend you try to at least get over to the conference, the deal making on Tuesday. Tuesday is the time where you're going to have a chance to walk up to booths. You're going to have a chance to do some walk up and have some real conversations with retailers and restaurants. So I would recommend definitely spending some time on Tuesday at the conference as well, and not trying to pack everything in on Monday. A couple of other changes that we're going to see at ICSC Vegas this year. Typically, at previous Vegas conferences, we used all 3 halls. We used the South Hall, the Central Hall, and the North Hall. This year, we're only using the South Hall and Central Hall. So you can see that here, South Hall, obviously furthest south along Paradise Road, and then Central Hall, which is just north of the South Hall there. This is you can see just across to the west here, you'll see the monorail drop. So you'll be able to jump off the monorail and head straight into the South Hall, and then that'll connect you to the Central Hall. So very important to pay attention to what halls your meetings are. So if you have a meeting and let's say that you have a booth number, maybe it's 7814, that's our booth, the retail coach. The thing to know about that is 7814 is in the South Hall. So you want to pay very close attention as you're setting up these meetings, as you're looking at maybe retailers, restaurants, developers that you want to meet with. Make sure you pay attention if they're in the South Hall or the Central Hall. So the South Hall is where I would recommend you spend most of your time. The South Hall is where most of the retailers and restaurants are located. So further east in South Hall, so to the far east in South Hall, you'll see where our booth is, the retail coach. We're at 7814. Just to the east of our booth here is where most of the retailers and restaurants will have booths set up. In years past, this is where you would walk by. McDonald's would be there, Panera Bread, Chipotle. They'll have their booths in this South Hall as well as some developers and brokers. But I would recommend spending most of your time in the South Hall because that's where the retailers and restaurants are. But you can see that for those that haven't attended before, we'll kind of have this retail area here to the east that I'm talking about on the far east side of the hall. They'll have sandwiches there that you can, or in the past at least, they've had sandwiches. You can grab a sandwich from Jimmy John's as you talk to a real estate director. You can talk to a hotel. Hilton will be in this area. There's a few other hotels that'll be there. So most of the retailers, restaurants will be in the South Hall. That's where I would at least plan on spending most of your time. This is typically the busiest hall, especially on Monday. So you want to leave yourself some time on Tuesday to also hit up South Hall to make sure you get in front of some of those prospects that you're talking to. Central Hall, a little bit larger of a hall. This is where you're going to see a lot of the brokers and some of the developers that are going to have booths in this hall, and then also a lot of the public sectors. They have a public sector area here on the southeast side of Central Hall. They'll have the public sector area, so a lot of the cities will be kind of pushed back. I feel bad for the cities; they always get pushed back in the far back of the conference center. So you definitely want to spend some time here. But again, I think South Hall is where you'll want to spend most of your time. And so a little bit of a change there. No North Hall this year, just the South Hall, just the Central Hall. Just a reminder where we're at booth 7814 in the South Hall, so you can see it on the screen there. So I want to talk to you a little bit about goals. We talked about some changes happening at ICSC Vegas starting this year. Not only paring it down to 2 halls, but paring it down to 2 days, really packing everything into 2 days of deal making. So the goal some goals you need to have and what you need to look at for this year is number one, set realistic goals. I talk to a lot of cities, I talk to a lot of municipalities or economic development organizations that are going to this conference or have in the past, and they say, look, we're going there to make deals. We're going there to see something happen. And the reality of it is deals don't happen at this conference. What happens at this conference is you make connections, you network, and then you take those connections and you follow up so that the deals will happen after the conference. So number one, meet people and make connections. Anybody that you talk to, whether it's a investor, a site selector, a retailer, a broker, take their card or at least scribble down in a notebook their name so that you can follow up after the conference. The most important part of this conference is going to be following up. So make sure you at least write down a name and then follow up with them. Attend social functions. I mentioned the ICSC networking reception that's happening from 6 to 8 on Sunday night. I would definitely recommend attending those. There's a chance to meet retailers. There's a chance to meet brokers, a chance to meet developers at this conference. We're also going to have a happy hour on Monday at our booth. So I have I think a slide at the end where we'll let you know about that, and then we'll send you an invitation after this where you can RSVP for our happy hour. But we're inviting retailers, developers, brokers, you name it, to this happy hour so that networking will happen, connections will be made. I would encourage you, if you do have a little bit of time, to attend the educational seminars and workshops that take place on Monday and Tuesday. I would definitely encourage that. They've got some good educational functions that they're going to talk about. What's happening in the retail industry. They're going to talk about trends. They're going to talk about some new retail concepts, public-private partnerships. I would absolutely encourage you to attend those if you have time. And then at the bottom here, I've got it underlined. I probably should highlight it as well. But manage the expectations of your council and your board. So if you have any of your council, mayors, boards, you name it, attending this conference with you, share with them what I just shared with you. You don't go out there expecting to make a deal. You go out there expecting to make contacts, expecting to network. So manage the expectations of your council and board. I'll say that again because I think that's incredibly important at this conference. Also incredibly important is preparation. So you've got to know your market. Obviously, everybody on this on this webinar knows your market. You know who you are, but you've got to sell that. You've got to pitch that to these prospects that you're meeting with. You've got to sell your market to them. So number one, you've got to know what are the demographics of your market. What does that retail trade area look like? You know, what primary retailers are in the market? You have to go into this expecting that somebody you're going to meet with doesn't already know your community. So you've got to school them. You've got to educate them on your community. We'll talk more about some of this in the later slides here, but know what sites are available. Know what's coming. Know what housing is coming. You know, how much housing is coming in the market. Know what retail categories can be supported. What are those strengths and weaknesses of your community, but also your competing communities? You've got to know all of that. But at the end of the day, you've got to be able to sell your community in 3 minutes or less. At this conference, you typically get a 3-minute conversation, if that, with retailers and restaurants. Sometimes you get lucky and you have a larger conversation or a longer conversation, but plan on 3 minutes and be ready to pitch your community in 3 minutes. One of the things that we talked about here is really understanding your market and understanding what that trade area looks like. So if you've never heard me talk about the retail trade area, or maybe you don't know your retail trade area, you want to know that before you go to the conference. Retailers, developers, brokers, nowadays they really don't care too much about your city limits population. So if you don't know what your trade area is, link up with me after this webinar, and I'll help you figure out what that is. But cell phone analysis is a way to do that. Retailers and restaurants nowadays, they want to know how many customers are in your market, how many visitors are shopping at your HEB or your Kroger or your Jewel Osco, how many shoppers are there over a year-long basis. So cell phone analysis, if you haven't had it done, again, talk to me after this conference. But this is an example of a community, Northbrook, Illinois. We ran a cell phone analysis on one of their shopping centers, and we found that 632,000 consumers made 2.98 million visits. So we shared this information with the prospect we're working with right now to locate. This is the type of information retailers and restaurants want to see. We talked about the trade area, understanding where customers come from. The cell phone analysis helps you understand that, helps you understand, you know, just like this heat map shows on here, the red is where the highest concentration of consumers are coming from. So make sure you have this information ready to go and available at the conference, because you will get asked about this. This will come up in some of your meetings. So from a marketing material standpoint, in fact, I got a question just now, what type of marketing materials do we need to take to the conference? And timely question for that, because it's incredibly important to have good marketing materials ready for this conference. One mistake I see a lot of communities make, or I've seen it happen in the past, is they'll put this huge hundreds of pages of information, or maybe it's 30 pages that they plan to leave behind with a retailer, or plan to leave behind with a broker or a developer. Don't plan on that. Plan on keeping it simple. One thing we've noticed and we've seen as we've attended ICSC conferences in the last few months is most people are not wanting to take home with them big packets of information. They're wanting you to email them the information. They're wanting you to follow up with, your marketing materials via email. So I'm not saying don't take marketing materials, but you probably don't need as many as you've used in the past. But what I would recommend is taking an iPad or a personal binder with you with your market information, so that if you're sitting in a meeting, you can pull that up and you can flip through, hey, let me show you where the new housing is coming in our community. Let me show you where we're located. So these are just a few of the things that I would include in your binder of information. A location map. You're going to talk to retailers and restaurants that honestly aren't going to know where your community is. And you've got to be able to show them, hey, here's where we are in relation to Denver. Here's where we are in relation to Dallas. That'll help, give them some help them understand where you're located. You definitely want to have a demographic profile of your trade area in this package, as well as your community. You want to have that retail trade area map, psychographics. We'll talk more about it here, but you want to make sure and show what sites you have available, whether it's vacancies in a shopping center, whether it's land or pad sites. If you happen to get into a good meeting and you're meeting with, let's say, Chipotle, and they say, hey, can you show us all 3,500 square foot sites you have available in an existing shopping center? Imagine if you have that all in a binder right there. and you can pull that out. That's going to help set you apart of other clients, or not other clients, but other communities. That's going to help set you apart. So make sure you have all of that. If you have an aerial aerial photograph of your community, that'll be helpful as well. And then I'll just emphasize it again. But if you have an iPad where you have all of this, maybe in a on your server, and you can just flip to this immediately, having an iPad is really a must nowadays, especially if you're meeting with them. If you're meeting with a retailer or a developer, and they say, "Hey, can you send me that site?" If you have that iPad, typically you can send it over automatically. I think they'll have free Wi-Fi at the conference center, so you'll be able to send that immediately to them. I encourage our clients to take a one-page flyer with them as a handout. Instead of taking a 20, 30-page packet to hand to Chipotle, take a one-page flyer. This is an example of one that I took with me to the ICSC Red River conference for one of our clients. And on that marketing piece, or on that one-page flyer, you're going to want to have a community overview, the trade area map, the demographic profile, just the high points, or the high points, and then you can follow up with more information. A one-page flyer, there's a lot better chance of that going home with a site selector versus a 30-page packet of information. It's funny, as you walk out of the conference center, a lot of times I'll see these big packets of information or these big brochures, and they have those big drum trash cans as you walk out of the conference center, and you just start to see those things pile up. So keep it simple, and then follow up with more information. Good example here. This is a market profile we put together for a client community of ours last year, and it's McKinney, Texas. So what you'll notice on there is we've got the trade area map, front and top of the information, or front and top of the page there. We then have just a snapshot of demographics. So they have a trade area of 420,000. Their average household incomes are 146,000. And then we have who that point of contact is. Cindy Schneibel in McKinney. So they know exactly who to contact. And then we show what retailers and restaurants are there in the community already. And then we show, for those that maybe it's somebody from California, maybe it's a site selector from Illinois that maybe has heard of McKinney, but never don't know anything else about it, don't know where it's located. We've got a location map. So this is just a front and back flyer. This is something to leave with the site selector, whoever you meet with. So if you don't have a front and back flyer or a market profile like this already, reach out to me. We've got time to put one together for you. Happy to do that for you, and we can help you with that. But keep it simple, and then follow up with more information. I think I probably have said that 10 times, but it's incredibly important to do that. I want to emphasize knowing and having sites available with you at the conference. So when I talk about sites, this could be a vacant piece of land. Maybe you've got a 2-acre pad site that's available in front of your grocery store. Or it could be a shopping center that you've got 2,500 square feet available in the shopping center. Or maybe it's a redevelopment play. Maybe it's an old rundown gas station that needs to be flipped or redeveloped. Those are all sites, and those are all things to have with you. So what I would encourage you to do is have a database of sites. If you don't already have one, maybe have a binder of sites, or have them on the iPad like we talked about. But if you're meeting with Chick-fil-A at this conference, we know Chick-fil-A looks for about 2 acres. If you're meeting with Chick-fil-A, have those sites available. Terrence, I'd love to show you, here are the 3 2-acre sites that fit what Chick-fil-A looks for. And then you can email those over automatically. But also have the contact info for the broker or the owner of those sites, so that you're almost doing the work of these site selectors for them. So if you provide sites, that saves them from having to make a trip to your community just to find sites. You've done that for them, and that typically speeds up the development process. Talking about strategy here a little bit as you're thinking and getting ready for the conference, I want to emphasize that your approach. Know what you're doing. You cannot just go to ICSC Recon and expect to talk to retailers and restaurants. You really have to have a plan. You have to have a strategy in place. You're going to be there with 20,000 or so other people in 2 halls at a trade show. So it's going to be tight. You're going to be shoulder to shoulder for a lot of time, walking with retailers and developers. Work to set up meetings ahead of time. with prospects as possible, but target the retailers that fit your community. If you're not a fit for Costco, or you don't have over 100,000, 200,000 in your trade area, don't waste your time going after Costco. Focus on those retailers. Focus on those restaurants that fit your community, but sell your community first. So give that 1 to 3 minute elevator pitch, and then sell a specific site. So if it is Chick-fil-A you're meeting with, hey, here's why you need to come to our community. We've got this. Our housing growth looks like this. We don't have a Chick-fil-A, but that's high on our priority list. Hey, here are the 3 sites that fit. Though that's the approach to take there. Invite the retailer. So if you have a good meeting with a retailer, a broker, developer, invite them back to your community. Hey, thanks for meeting with us here. I'd love to invite you. I'd love to take you to lunch. Are you available sometime in the next month to come to town and meet with us and let me tour you, drive you around town? Whether it's a retailer or it's a gatekeeper or it's a broker you're meeting with, those you want to invite them into your community. You want to be able to tour them, maybe take them to lunch. Incredibly important to build those relationships. I learned a long time ago, it's not just about what you know in the retail real estate industry, but it's also about who you know. So build those relationships with brokers, build the relationships with the developers, the restaurants, because maybe they might not do a deal this year. They might not do a deal in 2022, but maybe they will in 2024. And if you keep that relationship or you keep those contacts, you're going to see some things happen there. So don't just meet with retailers and developers, meet with brokers as well. So brokers are a lot of times the gatekeepers. So before you can get in front of and actually talk to a site selector at a corporate real estate company or corporate real estate contact for a restaurant or for a retailer, a lot of times you've got to meet with those brokers first. So build relationships with brokers and then target and meet with retail developers that are active in your region and your state. If the retailer does not have locations in your state already, one thing to do is make sure that you target the ones that already have them, or they've said that they are looking to expand into your area. Do a quick Google search. Look in your major metro area. See what retailers and restaurants have announced they're moving into your region. That's one way to do that. We have a couple of questions. We have a couple of things here in the chat box. Just a reminder: always take a PDF backup of your materials there. So have a PDF backup. Don't rely necessarily on Wi-Fi. We were just at an ICSC conference in Vegas in December. The Wi-Fi worked great, but it's technology. Something might always back up. So have your iPad with you, but also have some backup PDF information or have it saved on your iPad in PDF information in case the Wi-Fi is not working. So great point there, Paula. Appreciate that. Also had a question, will the presentation be shared later? Yes, we'll get that out to everybody this afternoon, a copy of the presentation and the recording. So again, just to emphasize, invite retailers to your community. Target retailers that fill a gap in your community. So maybe you've identified, hey, we don't have a coffee shop in our community or a national brand coffee shop. Target Starbucks, target Dunkin', target some of those that are going to be there. Incredibly important to do that, and have those sites ready for them. You definitely want to research and qualify targets by making sure that their selection criteria, what they look for in a community, matches your community. So most of these retailers and restaurants have site criteria. They have certain, they look for certain incomes. They look for certain trade area populations. They look for certain demographics. Go to the retailer's website. You might see a real estate tab or a franchising tab on there. If you click on one of those tabs, you can typically see what their customer profile looks for or what their selection criteria is. So I would encourage you to look at that. You can also reach out to us if you have questions, if a retailer or restaurant's a fit, but target, again, those that fit the community. Real quick, you can search attendees and exhibitor list on ICSC's website. So I've got the link here, but if you just Google or go to ICSC Vegas 2022, scroll down about halfway through the page, you can see all of the attendees that are going to be there. You can type in, I did it on here. I typed in my name. You can click on my picture here, my name here. It'll actually give you my email address. It'll give you some more information about me and about our firm, so that you can do that as well with whether it's Portillo's. If you're looking to recruit Portillo's to your community, type in Portillo's and you'll see who's going to be there for the conference. I would encourage you to do that. You can kind of see it, but there is a way to filter out. If you're looking just for retailers, just for restaurants, you can filter that out. But I would encourage you to take a strong look at that so that you know who's going to be attending. And then also look at the exhibitor list. So there's quite a few exhibitors. I don't know the total number off the top of my head, but there's quite a few exhibitors that are going to be at this event. So take a peek, spend an hour or two sometime in the next week or two looking at who's going to be attending the conference, and then also what exhibitors will be there, and then put a game plan together. You're not going to be able to get meetings with a lot of these retailers, restaurants, and developers. A lot of them are walk-up only. So make sure you plan your day. Plan on Monday. Hey, these are the 15 exhibitors that I'm going to try to talk to. These are the 15 retailers and restaurants. And then Tuesday, do that as well. Identify who you want to talk to. Which ones on Monday did you not get to connect to? Tuesday, here's who we want to talk to. So make sure you do that. Tuesday is the best day for walk-ups and drop-ins. Monday is going to be very crowded in both the South and Central Hall. So make sure you stick around for Tuesday so that you can do some walk-ups and have some good conversations with these retailers and restaurants on Tuesday as well. I talked about creating an elevator pitch. This is just an example of one that we used for another community, but we talked about that 1 to 3 minute elevator pitch, but basically this one says our community serves a regional trade area of approximately 95,000. Our primary retail trade area is anchored by Walmart, Kohl's, Hobby Lobby, Lowe's, Chili's, BJ's Brewhouse, Texas Roadhouse. They're all in the market, but there's still $16.5 million of unmet restaurant demand. I feel like we'd be a great fit for Chuy's. Your closest unit is 25 miles away. Can I get 10 minutes of your time at this show to really tell you about our community, share sites with you? So this is an elevator pitch. You could also put this into an email form and send this out to prospects, but you really need to be doing that over the next month or two, or next month or so, as we're getting ready for the conference. But keep it simple. But these are kind of the high points to really focus on there. And I mentioned this in the last slide, but create a hit list. Create a hit list of 30 retailers, restaurants, and brokers that you want to talk to at this conference, what their booth numbers are, who the contact is at each of those brokers. You might have to it might take 2 or 3 times at different times walking up to these booths or these companies to actually talk to them. So pay close attention. I mentioned this already, but if you are meeting with somebody, don't just write down the number of the booth. You need to write down if it's South Hall or Central Hall as well, because there is a difference and needed to do that. Work the floor methodically. Identify the site selector for your region. And then again, I'm going to highlight this again, get business cards, or at least write a name down of who you talk to and what company they're with, because you're going to want to follow up after the conference with that. I'm going to skip through this one because I've talked about it already, but the most productive time for retailer and developer drop-ins is going to be on Tuesday from 9 to 3. Follow up with these retailers quickly. If it makes sense, have that site information. If you talk to a broker about a site for a specific retailer, get it to them the same day. Get it to them before they're back at their offices, so that it's there waiting for them. And then you want to follow up at least, if not sooner, but a week after the conference as well with this information, and be prepared to send it multiple times. A lot of these retailers, these developers, these brokers are getting hit up by multiple municipalities throughout the country. You've got to follow up. You want to be persistent, but not pesky, if that makes sense. So always have something for them. Don't just send an email and say, hey, I'd love to talk to you. Send an email and say, hey, here's those sites we talked about. Do you have time to get on a call to go through the sites in a little bit more detail? Hey, here's a market profile of our community. From my experience, those emails that are sent, or those follow-ups that are done without any kind of follow-up or without any kind of information, whether it's a marketing piece or it's a housing map, anything like that, you have a lot less chance of follow-up happening if if you don't have something you're following up with them on. So make sure you have something to share with them. Name recognition is important. Keep your name and the community name in front of the retailer as much as possible. So maybe you meet with somebody on Monday, great meeting. Hey, on your way out on Tuesday, go stop back by and just say, hey, thanks again for meeting with me. Excited about you being here. Would love to tell you more about Firestone, Colorado. Would love to tell you more about Saginaw, Texas. Those are some things that you can do that are just simple to keep the name in front of them. Also, don't get discouraged if you don't have the best show, but you make some good contacts out there. Don't be discouraged. Retailers might not be interested today, but they might be interested 6 months down the road. So build those relationships, knowing that you're not making a deal today. You're building that relationship so that you can have a deal later on. You can have a deal in the future. Like I said before, be persistent but not pesky. It's a slow process, but it works. So absolutely. Make sure you do that. And then I'll open it up for questions. But so if you have any questions, type those into the Q&A box there or in the chat box there as well. But before we jump into questions, we are going to be having a happy hour at our booth from 4 to 5:30. Our booth is in the South Hall, number 7814 in the South Hall. So if you remember from the map earlier in the presentation, we had that. But we would love and encourage you to join this. When we send over this presentation this afternoon, we'll include the invites to our happy hour, and there's going to be a place to RSVP on there. That'll just help us. If you can RSVP that you're going to have a chance to stop by, that'll help us just know who to, how many to plan for, those sort of things, just to make sure we have enough food and drinks. But that happy hour will be, again, from 4 to 5:30 on Monday. Looks like we've had a few questions come in. You can also email me directly, afarmer@theretailcoach.net, or there's my cell number. So if you have questions, maybe you just need a couple of questions answered, or maybe you need a market profile, that community profile put together within a week or two, happy to help you with that, but just reach out to me there. So a couple of questions that we've been asked. What do we expect the attendance to be this year? So I haven't looked at it this week, but when I looked at it last week, I think there were about 13,000 attendees that had signed up. I think we're going to probably be in that 20 to 25,000 range as far as attendees that are going to actually attend the conference. To put that in perspective, previous years it's been in the 35 to 50,000 range that attend the conference. So we're down a little bit. I have noticed though, we're seeing some major pickup in the number of attendees. In fact, I noticed just in about a day's time or a week's time, we had 2,000 new attendees sign up within the last week or so. So I think really probably that 20 to 30,000 is probably the range we're going to expect to see out there. So I expect this to be a very good conference, and recommend you follow up. You come to the conference, you follow up, you take care of all of these steps we've talked about. I got another question asking if the recording and slide deck will be available. Yes, it'll be available this afternoon. Let's see. Do we expect a lot of retailers and restaurants to make it out to the show? We do. Retailers and restaurants can attend for free. That's something new ICSC is doing. For $0, retailers and restaurants can attend the conference for free. Most of them will have booths set up. If they don't have a booth set up, email them, reach out to them about meeting, reach out to their brokers, but there will be some things happening there. Dress code. Got a question on dress code here. So you'll kind of see it all over the place as far as dress code goes. It's gotten a little bit more casual over the years. Typically we'll see, men and women in business suits, especially the broker world. You'll see, full suits with ties. I will probably be wearing a shirt just like this, a polo shirt with slacks. Is really what I'll be wearing there, but it's become a little bit more business casual. So I think business casual is really what we're looking at this year for the conference. One thing I'll recommend is you wear comfortable shoes. One year, I walked 13 miles in one day, just going between meetings. So wear comfortable shoes. If your dress shoes are old and hurt your feet, I would recommend you get a new pair this week and you break them in for the conference. So you'll always see men and women wearing tennis shoes at the end of the conference. So by the time Tuesday rolls around, people have on tennis shoes. So make sure you wear comfortable shoes, and I think you'll be set from that standpoint. Looks like that's it. Any other questions from anyone? All right. Well, we want to thank everybody for joining us today. If you have any other questions, like I said, my email is right there, afarmer@theretailcoach.net. We will get this presentation, we'll get this recording sent out, we'll get the reception invite sent out this afternoon. And we got one, William Myers just made a great recommendation. He said, watch out when you're booking these or scheduling these appointments, watch out for automatic time zone changes on your phones. So if your appointments are set up, when you're setting them up today, make sure you set them up for Pacific time today, so that when you get to Vegas, the Pacific time, you're set up for that. So great recommendation there. So make sure you're setting up your appointments. So if you're at Central Time or you're in Eastern Time, make sure you're setting those meetings up for the Pacific time. Great point there, William. We'll look forward to seeing everybody soon. And if you have any other questions, follow up with us. But thanks again for joining us on our webinar, and we'll get that information out today.